Dear students, in this paper on Sociology of India 1, we are discussing the various Indian social institutions, of which one of the major institution is religion. Religion as a social institution is as old as human societies. Religion is metaphysical. It is an idea, doctrine or reality outside human sense perception. It is a feeling, attitude and belief practiced by human society for thousands of years. Religion is a social force that influences almost all human societies from the pre-literate to literate society. As Durkheim stated, religion is one of the predominant agents of social control and social solidarity. The relationship between religion and society is the central point of study in sociology of religion. Studying the religion of any particular nation is inevitable to understand the social structure of that country. In this module, we will be discussing the following main objectives which will equip the learners to get the conceptual clarity of the following concepts. The concepts that we are going to deal are religion, elements of religion, theoretical perspective of religion. Apart from that, we are also going to discuss religions in India with particular reference to Hinduism, Islam and Christianity. We are also going to see other religions too. Defining the concept of religion is a challenging task because it is more of a social phenomenon. Religion is explained differently by different sociologists and social anthropologists. One of the earliest definitions within a religious studies framework is one given by 19th century anthropologist Taylor, who defined religion as belief in spiritual beings. By using a minimalistic definition, Taylor hoped to prevent the categorization of primitive religions into spiritualism. Followed by that, Emile Durkheim defines religion as a unified system of beliefs and practices relative to sacred things, that is to say, things set apart and forbidden, beliefs and practices which unite into one single moral community called a church, all those who adhere to them. Max Weber used a substantive explanation of religion because nowhere in his work on the sociology of religion he provided a precise definition. He saw religion as a belief in a supernatural power that is unable to be scientifically explained. In other words, whether a belief can be considered religious or not depends on the substance of what is believed. Edward Sapir put it briefly as follows: religion is precisely one of those words which belong to the more intuitive portions of our vocabulary. Now we can see the elements of religion. In human civilization, religion is a universal and ever-present institution. It is a structured collection of ideas and practices that mainly includes beliefs found in all cultural systems and throughout the world. Religion connects people to spirituality and occasionally to moral principles as well. The study of religion in sociology pioneers the analysis of religious practices and beliefs in relation to various cultural contexts worldwide. Religion is generally associated with expressing awe and reverence towards natural phenomena, any deity or any being, whether it is animate or inanimate. The fundamental distinction between religion and ritual is that between two categories of religious phenomena, beliefs and rites. The first one is a form of thought, whereas the second one is its action. But two are inseparable and central to every religion. Without knowing its beliefs, the rituals of religion is incomprehensible. That the two are inseparable does not imply any particular relation of priority. The point is at present the distinction. Religious beliefs or beliefs concerning sacred things, their origin, behavior and significance for man. Rites or actions performed in relation to the sacred things. Now we can see the elements of religion. Arousing of feelings is the first element. In order to get consciousness about religion or the existence of beliefs, some feelings and emotions are also aroused. Fear of God, fear of doing evil things, charity, and living a sacred life are all patterns of behavior that stimulate feelings for a religion. Sometimes, however, feelings are aroused to create terror in the followers. The second component is beliefs. The edifice of religion stands on the structure of beliefs. The earlier social anthropologists defined religion in terms of beliefs only. Taylor argued that there could not be any religion without belief. And belief is important because it cannot be disputed, it cannot be empirically proved. It is only a matter of understanding. In recent anthropological literature, the element of belief in religion has been severely criticized. It is said that religion has to be understood in sociological and logical terms. Belief has no existence because it does not stand the test of reality. The third component is organization. In the early history of religion, we have evidence to say that there was some organization to regulate the activities of a particular sect. Max Weber, who is said to be one of the founders of modern sociology, observed that all the great religions of the world, whether it is Christianity, Judaism, Islam or Hinduism, had some kind of organization. The function of the organization was to regulate the activities and functioning of the religion. Christianity has its church, which works as a central body to keep the Christians together. Likewise, Hinduism has 4 dharmas where Shankaracharyas work as head and regulate the activities of the Hindus. Then we have the symbols and myths as the component. Each religion has its own symbols and myths. For instance, a church, temple, mosque, flag and a specific kind of dress and worship are symbols of various religious cults. Similarly, there are mythological stories related to each religion. The tribals who believe in animism have their own totems reflected in animals, plants and trees. Mythological stories also illustrate the origin of the clans. Followed by this, we are having taboos as one of the elements of religion. In order to differentiate itself, each religious faith have its own taboos. These taboos are related to food habits and the way of living. For instance, Jainism professes that its followers should not take their meals after sunset and that they should be strictly vegetarian. The behavior patterns of the followers are also determined by religion. A few more could be added to the above list of elements of religion. It must be remembered that these elements undergo change and transformation at the local level. New interpretations are also added to the elements with the functioning of various social and cultural processes. Some new elements can also appear in relation to time. Now we can move on to the theories of religion. Religion is a social institution in the social structure that reinforces so many things in the society. While discussing the emergence and evolution of religion in human society, we have many theoretical explanations given by many social anthropologists and sociologists. One of the most conversed theories was animism. The idea behind this theory was that the soul, that is the anima, is the central to religion. So this belief is called as animism. E.B. Taylor propagated this theory. He explained that the primitive man hit upon the idea of the soul because of an error. From there onwards, primitive man was made to describe various unusual events by referring to the activity of the spirits. Disease or other unfortunate events were attributed to the actions of bad spirits, whereas benevolent spirits were thought to be responsible for pleasant things in life. In order to prevent the spirits from harming the living things, the next stage was an attempt to placate and appease the spirits. Animism based rituals may be created, among other things, to win the favor of spirits in order to assure a happy and secure future. Animistic society frequently believe that the soul lives on in some way after passing away, whether here on earth or in the spiritual realm that is somehow superior to this one, or a combination of both. Naturism is the another explanation for origin of religious institution. Naturism means the belief that the force of nature have supernatural power. The theory of naturism is associated with the name of Max Muller. According to Max Muller, a diseased mind that gave life and all the power that comes with existence to inanimate objects gave birth to an attitude of wonder, love and reverence for natural objects. Max Muller strongly advocates that naturism is the most ancient form of religious practice. Naturism, according to him, is primarily based on man's sensory experience, out of which logical deductions are mainly made. Through sensory organisms, man obtains the surfaced experience of reality on the basis of which he makes logical deductions. The sensory experiences further helps man to distinguish animate from inanimate objects. Therefore, religion is primarily a derivative of sensory experiences. For instance, while rain is apparent, its warning cannot be seen, and while the sun is visible, man is largely ignorant of how it was created. Therefore, out of respect and dependence on these supreme natural forces, that is the sun, moon, air and water, without which man's life and will are wholly impractical, a man greatly worshipped them all. The third commonly discussed theory of religion is animatism. Animatism is a term coined by British anthropologist Robert Marett to refer to a belief in a generalized impersonal power over which people have some measure of control. Another theoretical explanation is totemism. This theoretical explanation was given by Emil Durkheim, one of the founding fathers of sociology. He investigated totemism from both a sociological perspective as well as theological. In general, Durkheim argued that totemism was the elementary form of religion and that he wanted to find a pure religion in ancient structures. The clans' totemic symbols are mostly connected to plant and animal names. A totem's functions are to prevent incestuous behavior, to strengthen the clan's sense of social identity and to celebrate someone through poetry recitals. Now we can move on to the second part of our presentation, that is religions in India. With this introduction to religion as a social institution, we can now discuss the religions in India. Religions in India is unique because despite several religious practices, India as a secular nation follows a secular democratic republic form of government. India as a nation does not have any official religion, and the citizens of India are free to follow their own religious faith. The Constitution guarantees no discrimination based on religion, and all religious faiths are treated equally. In the Indian context, religion directly or indirectly influences the social, economic and political structure of the society. The subcontinent India takes pride in being the birthplace of four religions, namely Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism and Sikhism. According to 2011 census, Hinduism is the most dominant religion in India and it is practiced by 79.8% of the people of the country, followed by Islam, 14.2% of the people of India, Christianity with 2.3% of the people following it. Sikhism is followed by 1.7% of the people and Buddhism was followed by 0.7% of the people. Other than these religions, in India, Zoroastrianism, Sanamahism, Judaism or other ancient religions with a good number of population as their followers. Religion has always played a significant role in shaping Indian culture. Law and custom have been produced to create tolerance in response to the nation's religious diversity. As we have seen earlier, In this module, the Indian Constitution has proclaimed the right to religious freedom to be a fundamental right. There is always a question of whether the safeguard available in the Indian Constitution in reality, whether it is protecting such fundamental rights in general and especially to religious minorities. Now we can have a brief note about the major religions in India. Many different religions have long been practiced in India. The majority of Indians follow Hinduism, and we can start our discussion on Indian religions with Hinduism. Hindus are the largest religious group in India, and they are a direct descendant of Brahmanism, the Vedic religion of more than 3000 years ago. It is the oldest of the country's religions and has the most significant number of followers. As per the Census of India 2011, they comprises 79.8% of the total population of India. The belief system of Hinduism comprises not a single perspective. From the beginning, the term Hindu was not applied to the followers of any particular religion. One of the assumptions states that the word Hindu was used by the foreigners coming to India and meant the people inhabiting the Indus Valley. Defining Hinduism is very difficult, as there is no single identity of the concept of God or any particular holy book or even a religious practice. Thus, it means a set of belief systems seem to constitute Hinduism. Hinduism comprises of numerous cults and deities. The flexibility available in Hinduism absorbs various belief systems into its fold. In spite of this diversity, there do exist common threads binding a large number of people following Hinduism. In India, the majority of the people follow Hinduism. Many of its followers are spread even in Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, Burma, Indonesia, Ghana, Fiji, Mauritius, Pakistan and other parts of the world. It is one of the oldest belief systems in the world. Saivism dates to the pre-Vedic period. Over the ages, through its development, several sects and subsects kept emerging from it as the religion had flexibility. Similarly, many belief systems kept entering their folds. Though Hinduism has several belief systems, both from the Vedic tradition and the local tradition, the majority of the Hindus share certain things in common. Hindus believe in an eternal, infinite and all-embracing ultimate force called Brahman. The Brahman is present in all forms of life. The main concern in Hinduism is the relationship between the Brahman, that is the universal soul, and the Atman, the individual soul. Good and bad deeds of the Atman decide the nature of its incarnation or rebirth. The Atman's good and bad deeds in the previous births are called karma. Good and bad deeds is defined according to their dharma. The Vedic texts and literature give several textual pieces of information regarding the belief system of Hinduism. The principle of Hinduism included the following ideas. First one is Sanatana Dharmam, that is the eternal faith was more ancient and hence it is considered to be more true. The fundamental human problem was epistemological, that is not knowing the truth rather than moral. Indeed, the concept of original sin was deemed illogical and unjust. Hinduism was a religion with a variously adaptable deity rather than one confined to a single revelatory moment and its various points. Darshana afforded flexibility for different types of people. The fourth point is the Hindu goal of moksha was superior to any idea of literal heaven. The fifth one is Vedic authority was beyond question and the Brahmanhood was authentic in as much as it was rooted in karma. There are regional variations in religious belief and the inclusiveness of the local belief system is a characteristic of Hinduism. In the upcoming weeks or module, we will be discussing Hinduism in India, its social order and how it plays a crucial role in the Indian social structure. Now we can move on to the second most practiced religion in India, that is Islam. The followers of Islamic traditions are called Muslims. Muslims emphasize that from the time of the world's creation, Many of God's prophets, as messengers of God, have preached their faith. While tracing the origin of Islam around 1400 years ago in Saudi Arabia, as it is practiced today, had originated. Prophet Muhammad is considered the last prophet who preached the present faith of Islam. India's initial contact with Islam dates back to 8th century with Arab sea merchants arriving at the southern coast of India. The contact was on the northwest frontier region for the second time after Muslim invasion. In the early 8th century, the Arabs under Muhammad bin Qasim invaded Sindh, and in the 10th century onwards there were a number of invasions from Central Asia. From then onwards there was continuous invasions, and Delhi Sultanate was established towards the beginning of 13th century by the Turk under Muhammad Ghori. Simultaneously, the Sufi saints entered India as a wave from Central Asia and settled in India. The 60 Silsilas of Islamic Sufi tradition played an important role in spread of Islamic belief in the Indian subcontinent. Their significant role is disseminating Islamic thought in India will be discussed in the coming week. According to the tenets of Islam, a Muslim must have faith in the following: one God who has no partner, who is omnipotent and omnipresent. The second one is the book of God are revealed to different prophets from time to time, of which the Quran is the last. God sent all the prophets, including Moses and Christ, as messengers. Most crucial is the belief that the Prophet Muhammad was the last messenger of God sent on earth. The day of judgment, when the world will come to an end and the people will be rewarded or punished for the deeds done in their life, this includes the concept of heaven and hell. Then their concept of angels of God, that the angels are not the partner of God but worship God and perform the tasks assigned by God. Apart from the stated tenets of Islam, its followers have specific religious duties. Islamic tradition too has different sects like Sunnis and Shias. Indian social structure faces the impact of Islamic tradition in several ways, and in the coming week's module we will be discussing those aspects. Now we can move on to the next religion that is followed in India, that is Christianity. Christianity is the world's biggest religion with about 2.1 billion followers worldwide. It is based on the teachings of Jesus Christ as presented in the New Testament. Christianity originated in Israel and Jesus lived there. The arrival of Christianity in India was almost about the same period as it arrived in Europe, meaning that 2000 years ago, with 24 million, that is 2.34% of India's population are Christians, adherents of Christianity were known as Christians. They believe that Jesus is the only begotten Son of God and the Messiah, Christ, professed in the Hebrew Bible, the part of the scripture common to Christianity and Judaism. Christianity is a monotheistic religion where the way of life is centered on the worship of one God, a Jewish man named Jesus. For almost 30 years, Jesus lived as the human being in Palestine and was crucified by Romans at Jerusalem between AD 29 and 33. Members of Christianity worship only the living Christ. Christianity is a historical and supernatural religion. The religion's precepts of Christianity are contained in their holy book called Bible. Christian theology claims that Jesus Christ is a teacher, the model of virtuous life, and the revealer of God, as well as an incarnation of God, and most importantly, the Savior of humanity who suffered, died and was resurrected to bring about salvation for sin. Based on the tradition, Thomas, one of the Christ's apostles, brought Christianity to India 50 years after its first appearance in Jerusalem. Around 52 AD, Thomas arrived on the Malabar coast and established 7 churches there. As Islam, the early Christians were generally confined to Kerala. This may be because the coastal area of Kerala invites newcomers easily. Thus, it remained the gateway of the migrated religions. With the advent of European missionaries in the early 16th century, Christianity spread to all parts of the country. The countries following Christianity entered India and disseminated the religion here. The Portuguese were the first. The Dutch, the French, the British and other European and American missionaries followed them. Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Goa, Nagaland, Mizoram, Meghalaya, Manipur and Tripura have relatively higher Christian population. Abul Hussain further stated that the main division of Christians in India is similar to the rest of the world, such as Protestants and Catholics. There are also different denominations in India like Syrian Church, Armenian Church, Anglican Church and others. There is also an Anglo-Indian community in India. Most of the Indian Christians are Roman Catholics, accounting for a total of 17.3 million members. Indian Christians are basically converted from many different communities, therefore, they are not politically united and organized. Most Indian Christians live in rural areas too. Although they are numerically small, their contribution to education and health services can be never ignored. Now we can see other religions in India. From the work of Abul Hussain, we can discuss the various other religions found in the Indian subcontinent. Other than these major religions, one of the recognized religion we will be dealing with in the upcoming week is Sikhism. Sikhism, it is a religious practice that emerged as a protest movement against some established religious traditions. Sikhism is one of the youngest of world religions. It is barely 500 years old. Sri Guru Nanak Dev in 1469 AD was the founder of this religion. He fought against the dominance of the Brahmin priests and their legal controls and also against Islamic orthodoxy. Thus, Sikhism rejected both Hinduism and Islam. At the same time, he also fused or blended the central teachings of both the religions. Tenets of Sikhism stem from the belief that loving God and loving one's fellow men is the basis. A Sikh believes everyone should be treated equally because they are all God's creations. One must put in a lot of effort and generously distribute their hard-earned money to the less privileged. One must constantly engage their body and mind. Now we can move on to the next religion, that is Jainism. Jainism is another religion that originated in India after denying the authority of Vedas and Vedic sacrifices. It maintained the standard of living for the ordinary man. It proclaimed the universal spiritual right of all people. Jainism also emphasized love and compassion for all living things. The local and the vernacular languages were used for all the Jaina preaching. The use of Sanskrit, the language of the Brahmins, was forbidden. Jainism strongly focuses on ahimsa or the non-infliction of harm upon any living beings. In the 6th century BC, Jainism was propagated by Mahavira. Vardhamana was Mahavira's childhood name and he was a prince. Being a king's son, he had access to a wealth of worldly joys, conveniences and services. However, at the age of 30, he left his family and the royal household, gave up his material goods and became a monk in quest of a way to end suffering from life. He created a monastic community of both nuns and monks. He was the last of the 24 Jain teachers known as Tirthankars, who taught a way to religious awakening based on strict religious austerity and renunciation of the world. The next religion we are going to see is Buddhism. Buddhists in India are relatively few, but it is significant because the religion originated here. There is no central deity in Buddhism. It does not contain any supernatural components. It is a philosophical framework and moral code. Siddhartha Gautama, a prince by birth, attained enlightenment in 500 BC, leading to Buddhism's establishment in northern India. The expansion of Buddhism in India was in its faster phase during the reign of Emperor Asoka the Great, as he embraced it. Buddhism most likely had the most remarkable religious following in the world by the 7th century AD after spreading over East Asia and Southeast Asia. In India, due to the drop in devotees, Buddhism formerly saw a decline in popularity. However, in 1891, when Sri Lankan Buddhist leader Anangarika Dharmapala created the Mahabodhi Society, a Buddhist revival happened in India. Now we can see the next religion, that is Zoroastrianism. Other religions found in India include Zoroastrianism. In order to flee religious atrocities, Zoroastrianists called as Parsis, they migrated from Persia to India in the 8th century AD. Zarathustra established the ancient religion known as Zoroastrianism. Celibacy or asceticism are not encouraged by Zoroastrianism. This religion allows for polygamy and does not support fasting. Even religious rites involve wine. So we have seen almost all the religions that are popularly practiced in India. To sum up, in today's deliberation, we have discussed religion as a social institution and how it is important in the social structure and the theoretical perspectives on origin of religion. We also discussed the status of religion in the Indian Constitution. Then we looked at the various religions and sects in India, their main teachings and principles, the followers in India and the socio-cultural and economic aspects of it. Among the religions we discussed Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Jainism, Buddhism and Zoroastrianism. In the upcoming modules of this week, we will be dealing in length with the religion Hinduism in this Indian social structure. Thank you.